You want to improve your strength, so you start pushing movements harder, you start attempting 1 rep maxes every other week, and you start bursting blood vessels on compound movements, trying to get stronger. But suddenly you realise your progress is stagnant, or worse, going backwards. The truth is, most people train for strength wrong and do it in the reverse order they should be. They'll first try to push heavy weight, realise the form is off, and then try to improve it. Then they'll start to get aches and pains and start to implement warm-ups and drills and activation exercises to improve a movement. Then they'll inevitably get injured and stop doing movements such as squats and deadlifts because they say that those movements just aren't good for the back. Well, here's the reality of strength training. Increasing the weight on the bar during movements is a byproduct of strength, and it isn't what causes strength to improve. Your number one goal in strength training, whether it's powerlifting or other forms of strength training, should be to never fail a rep. If you're failing a rep, that means you're putting too much effort into it, your fatigue's going to be too high, and you're clearly using weights which are too heavy to progress with. This is contradictory to classic bodybuilding style training because a lot of people get the two confused and think to build strength you need to pack on loads of muscle like bodybuilders do. Now yes, building muscle will increase your strength, but strength training is more about increasing your central nervous system and your neural drive for exercises and increasing the amount of motor units your body can utilize to get stronger. You have to do this in a clever way to where you're not increasing loads of fatigue, but you're still getting enough stimulus. Bodybuilders often use higher rep ranges, push themselves close to failure, but on movements which don't actually create a lot of systemic fatigue. So here's what you need to do. You still need to use roughly the same structure like you would in your bodybuilding, to where you're training each muscle group around twice a week if you can. You still need to have adequate rest days in your training weeks, but the main thing is to implement a top set back off approach rather than pyramid sets like you would for bodybuilding. This helps you focus on improving your form, your technique, and your movement specificity, which allows you to get better at performing movements, especially the compound movements. So imagine you've got two bars which require two different things during your session. You've got a bar which requires stimulus and you've got a bar which requires fatigue. Every session you want to get as much stimulus as you can with as little fatigue as possible. The heavier a weight you're using, the more fatigue it's going to cause and the less stimulus it's going to cause. And the weights that are really light are going to cause a tiny bit of fatigue and very little stimulus, especially for strength. So you want somewhere in between to where you're using heavy enough weights to give you stimulus to improve your strength, but not too heavy to where it's increasing your fatigue. This needs to be done in a calculated way to let you build towards a peak strength output during the month and then give yourself dedicated time to rest and recover. So here's a no bullshit plan which will help you improve your strength in just a month. What you need to do is work out your 1 rep max and then you're going to work your sessions back from that. So for example, let's say your 1 rep max on deadlift is 200 kilos and your goal for your next PR session is 210 kilos, which is a 10 kilo PR. What you want to do is work back 20 kilos each week from 210. So week 5, which is your PR week, you're going to be working up towards 210 kilos in hopes of getting that PR. But week 4, you're going to be 20 kilos less than that, just under your 1 rep max. So you're going to be doing 190 kilos. This will be the final week before your attempted 1 rep max, where you should be able to give yourself a bit of an idea of how strong you've worked up to. Now, the week before that, you're going to be going 20 kilos lower, so 170 kilos. Then, same again, the week before that, 150 kilos. And then your deload week before that, which is going to be 5 weeks for this plan, is going to be 130 kilos. Now, they might seem like dramatic drops in weight, but it allows your body to work up in weight slowly, gradually, each week to where you're peaking and you've got the most amount of stimulus built with the least amount of fatigue, hopefully on week 5. Now, those weights I've just described there are going to be your top sets. So these are the sets where you're performing only 1 rep, just to give your body that acclimatization to the heavy weight. Then what you're going to be doing is performing your back off sets, which is where the real magic happens. So with each different week of a top set weight, you're going to reduce your back off sets by 20%. And with these sets, you're going to be performing 5 reps for a few sets. This is where your volume's built and which lets you gradually increase your weight over the weeks, improve your technique and your form, but without being too heavy to cause a lot of fatigue and risk injury. This is what builds your stimulus for improvement without going too close to fatiguing weights or too close to failure and causing injury. Now, creating a plan like this does require a bit of trial and error because the numbers aren't going to be exact and you're going to be changing these numbers depending on your own experience. For example, you might not have a block of 5 weeks, it might be 4 weeks, or it could be more more. And the only way to work out what works best for you is to test it, trial and error, and see how your strength improves each week, where you need to change things, what you need to take out, and what you need to put into your training sessions. Now, if you need help setting up a plan, or you want me to help make you a plan directly, you can sign up to my coaching via the link in the description, where I'll give you a fully dedicated, custom, strength-focused training plan like I have with hundreds of other people to help improve your progress in no time. Now, if you're someone who's been struggling improving their strength or just the training in general, this video up here might help you out. So I suggest you go and watch that. Now, in the meantime, that is it, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you later.